What led you to a career in play-by-play?
Well, it's an interesting story. Um, when I was 12 years old, growing up in Salisbury, North Carolina, one Sunday afternoon, I decided to pick up the telephone and call the radio station. We had two in town, and I called one that had more sports on. And I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I called, and the announcer on duty was kind enough to answer the phone, and I introduced myself and told him I was a big fan of the station. And he said, "Well, why don't you come on down and we'll give you a tour of the radio station?" And this was on a Sunday afternoon, and my mom and dad took me down, and I got a tour. And that began for me an every Sunday ritual where I would go hang out at that radio station, WSTP in Salisbury. And one Sunday afternoon, the sportscaster of the station showed up, and he said, "Well, if you love sports and you love radio, why don't you help us broadcast these American Legion baseball games that we broadcast?" And the reason they were on is because the team was so good and a lot of interest in town. And so I went, helped, and I did what 12-year-old kids would do. I sharpened the guy's pencils and got him a Coke and just kind of hung out. And one game, he said to me, "Well, are you ready to make your debut?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I am." And I got the microphone in the bottom half of the seventh inning of the game. And lo and behold, we hit a home run. Our first baseman hit one out of the park, and excuse me, I got to call it, and that is what began for me my career in sportscasting.
What was the next step from there?
Well, being just the tender age of 12, I just continued to hang out at the radio station and just nothing on the air. But we were blessed. That sportscaster was Marty Brenneman, the Hall of Fame announcer for the Reds, who was just starting his career. And we had others at the station that would go on to be a major league announcer. So we really had a lot of talent to learn from. And when I got to high school, I also wrote for the newspaper in town, and that was terrific background as far as the journalism aspect of the business was concerned. So it was a great laboratory for me. Went to Catawba, was a speech major, and got to work at the radio station full time when I was a sophomore in college at age 19, and I went to school full time. And so I was able to combine both. I had a terrific academic career because Carl Hales, who you may know from NSSA, was the head of the department back then. And Carl said, "You know, we don't get too many students like you. You know what you want to do. So let's tailor a specific program for you." I majored in speech and minored in PE, and they allowed me to work basically on the tools that I would need for my sportscasting job as a student, a degree earning student. And so the marriage was tremendous because I was on the air every day, and then I would take what I was doing on the air, record it, Carl would listen to it, and we'd make changes along the way. So it really could not have been better for me.